Why, hello there. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Matt,
And I'm Joe.
and this is Quiz with
Quiz
Queries.
with queries.
That one was...
Okay, we got that.
No, that was that was trash. Why did...
Wait, really?
Yes.
It sounded good on my end, but I thought it sounded good on my end last week too, and I listened back to it and I was like, oh no, oh god.
Oh dear. Look, honestly, the start of every episode is just going to be us debating whether we got it right, but anyway.
Yeah. It's just gonna be, honestly, it's just gonna be a running gag at this point. It's just our brand now.
Yeah.
Branding.
Sell yourself. This week we're talking about body image. Yikes.
Yes, we are. Yes, it is about body language. Just like cute, uncomfortable silence, just crickets. As we both wait for the other person to say something about body image. No. Why don't we start off with a quick reflection on the previous episode?
Oh, that's true. Last episode was a hit!
Yay. Ding, ding, ding.
Well, yes. I had a lot of positive feedback about the social media. And we'd like to make a formal apology if we made you feel bad about your screen time. Sorry that we're just so good at keeping our screen time down every day. Yes, you should feel ashamed of yourself.
No. Jokes aside though, like my screen time is honestly just down because I actively make an effort not to look at my phone. Honestly, if I wasn't making an active effort, it would probably be a lot higher. And if I wasn't working as much as I do, I probably would be looking at my phone a lot more as well. Circumstances.
Exactly. And I'm sitting at a computer 8 hours a day. It's just a different screen. But yeah, so anyway, this week we are talking about body image and, oh dear, self-identity and the identity we attach to our bodies, and am I attractive enough? God. Joe.
Yeah, it's really a lot, isn't it?
So much. What about you? What are some maybe issues you've had historically with your body image? Just to dive right in. What don't you like about yourself?
Well, here's the thing. I was originally going to ask you before talking about this myself. I was originally going to ask you, have you always been skinny mini Miss Skinny Legend your whole life?
Oh my god. I did I have always been a lean boy.
She's always been a Polly Pocket.
Polly Pocket. Look, I've luckily not had huge issues with my body and the way I've seen my body. I think maybe I a little bit sometimes have been insecure about being skinny, and maybe not being muscly enough. But otherwise, it's not been a huge anxiety I've had, which I'm very fortunate for.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Being skinny, there's while society doesn't necessarily stigmatize being skinny as much as it does some other body types.
Absolutely.
Being skinny doesn't automatically exempt you from having body image issues, and let's just make that clear from the jump, because some people are like, why is he complaining? That's such a first world issue. Because a lot of people want to be skinny, but having body issues does not equal having body image issues. So let's just get that out of the way quick fast.
And I think I've been seeing something more recently about yes, being skinny doesn't exclude you from having body image issues, but maybe your body type isn't systemically hated against, which is awful to say. Not hated.
When healthcare professionals tell fat people to lose their fat, and they're like, it's going to help all of your issues. It's like, sweaty, I came to you to get treatment for something. I didn't come to you for you to tell me I'm fat and tell me to lose weight. But no, that's not something that I've personally witnessed for myself. It's never happened to me. But I just know that that's an experience that a lot of my fat friends do have. And also, we will be using, at least I will be using the word fat, because it's really weird how society has this thing where in order to be polite, we say larger and not fat. We say, oh, like even when someone is, maybe feeling down about being fat one day, you know, the polite thing to say is, oh, you're not that fat. It's like, sweaty. People aren't delusional. They can weigh themselves. They can see themselves. Telling people that they're not fat doesn't help the issue. It stigmatizes fat more than it needed to, because the issue shouldn't be the fat. The issue should be them feeling down about their body, right? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I absolutely understand. And well, I think it's this idea of being comfortable with the body you have and finding whatever, however you look, finding attractiveness in that, rather than
Yeah.
trying to meet society's expectations of what is attractive. Because what we consume in the media is a very small proportion of what people actually look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As for my personal stuff, my personal history with body image, it's interesting because
Yeah.
there are times that I'm happy with my body and there are times that I'm not happy, and that fluctuates, and that's normal for everyone.
For sure.
But in terms of the way that my body acts, it's quite weird. Like, that like one white lady who lives in Fitzroy with her chunky gemstone jewelry who talks about manifestation.
No, I don't,
That
but please tell me.
that is my body. My body is a manifestation machine. She said cause and effect to the house. Like, my body is like, if I eat something that's bad for me, the next day it will just balloon out. Or like if I, exercise a little bit more and like, eat healthy for like a day, it'll suddenly just be like, let's be skinny mini. And then if I do like, I don't know, resistance exercise, like within a week, it'll be like, look at these new muscles. So my body is literally, it's so volatile, it just keeps changing. So it's really weird.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
super weird.
So I,
Yeah, I don't notice my body changing a lot, and I think maybe, well, there's something scary about that as well, because maybe I've based a lot of my identity off of, being lean or skinny, and maybe if that were to change one day, could be quite terrifying. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, but like when it changes, it almost
Mm,
like you kind of know, because like obviously you see yourself in the mirror or like before you shower or whatever, but like the thing that really changes with me, because I've always had such a volatile body that just changes based on everything that I do. um it's really funny because I can tell the difference in reactions. Like it's almost like when you're a little chubby,
mm.
it's a bigger deal than if you were like, I feel like it's really weird how society treats fat people. Like they straight up just don't mention it out of, society's stigma about weight, and they almost act as if it doesn't exist. Um and and will actively skirt around it. Do you know what I mean? To the point where it
Yeah.
seems as if they don't care at all. Whereas when you're a little bit chubby, they will be like, "Oh, you've put on some weight," or they'll be like, "Oh, do you know what I mean?" But that's just because I also come from a culture that's quite. We talk about bodies a lot. Like if you see someone, they'll be like, "Oh, you've put on weight," or they'll be like, "Oh, you've lost weight," or they'll be like, "Oh, you've gotten tanned," or "Oh, like you're so much more pale than the last time I saw you." Like Chinese people will like talk about your body, the house in front of you. They'll be like,
God.
"Rakakakaka, let me tell you everything that's wrong with you."
And that's interesting that even you've got it, because I was even going to say maybe my experience is, being a guy, I've not really been subjected to the same body image pressures by other people, because, maybe maybe for my sisters or my yeah girlfriends. Yeah, it's always that, oh wow, look how good you look, or maybe you've put on weight. um, but I've never gotten those comments before. It's
Yeah,
never look how good you look for me.
that is high key a healthy way to live your life. Um, I mean, like honestly, people just shouldn't make comments about other people's bodies straight up if it's about the appearance of it. If there's a health concern, by all means.
Yeah.
But if you're making a comment about someone's body in terms of how it looks, I'm like, no, sis, we don't go there unless it's complimentary.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, even then, like you've got to be aware that if you're only complimenting someone's appearance, that can
Mm.
cause a lot of stress for them as well. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
you know, we are more than just our bodies.
More than just my body.
But I'm like, yeah, super nervous going into this sort of topic because I don't think it's something I talk about enough, and
Mm.
I am definitely aware that's a very sensitive topic for a lot of people, and I don't really know how to approach this the most appropriately and carefully as
Yeah.
possible.
I mean, here's the thing, right?
Mm,
Body image is so incredibly personal that if you say one thing, one group of people will feel extremely represented by what you say, and then another
right.
group of people will feel like it's offensive, right? Um, so it's so deeply personal that you can't really please everyone, and it's about your personal experience as well, because we all have bodies. We all have
Right.
probably struggled with body image at some point. So it's a deeply personal experience, and nobody's experience of it is necessarily more or less valid than anyone else's, unless it's like genuinely not backed up by scientific evidence or anything like that. But we will get into that. I mean, like especially our perspective on this as like queer people, like the gay community is extremely fixated on like bodies and body image, right? It's so
So beyond
intense.
so beyond fixated. I mean, look at grinder culture and gay clubs. It's all, all the advertising is that ripped, muscly, mask presenting guy, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh fuck, I don't look like that.
Body image in the gay community is it's so incredibly like the body image issues are so incredibly pervasive because of the way that we value bodies. Like even I don't know if you heard about it, the leaked
Yeah,
photography brief from Poof Doof.
you were telling me briefly. Oh,
Yeah.
please go on.
So basically, the photography brief, so that's the kind of like assignment or the task that they give to their photographers to promote the club. Um, they said pretty much explicitly that they only want photos of tall, white, masculine looking, like muscular men in the club. They were like, we don't want women, we don't want drag queens unless they're like a part of the, I think they call it the Puff Duff family or something. So like a
Cool.
select few drag queens. They were like, we don't want skinny boys, we don't want short people, we don't want people with bad skin. Like it was incredibly like clear that they were, trying to attract a certain clientele by only allowing certain bodies to be seen in their club, and it's honestly so disgusting.
For
But
a community that's as inclusive as the queer community,
are we inclusive? Sweaty, are we?
how are we not inclusive? I mean,
We are 100. The queers are 100% not inclusive of people of color, but we'll definitely get into that in a later episode, or maybe a little bit later in this one. But it is so incredibly racist, and also like in a different way from straight people, very misogynistic. Um, the gays just feel like they're able to comment on women's bodies like, oh my god sis, you're looking so skinny today, oh my god sis, yes, like that slim tea really snapped, or like, oh my god sis, yes, you like, do you know what I mean? um
absolutely. I definitely noticed that. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not hurtful. I'm not harmful to my women friends, so I can touch them and I can make comments about them, and that's not going to offend them.
yeah,
Yeah, of
and
course.
also queer people can be extremely exclusive of like straight allies. um like
Yeah.
obviously there does need to be a delineation between what is allowed for queer people and what is allowed for queer allies. At the same time, it almost feels a little bit like use them and discard them at times. They're like, oh yes, we love our straight allies, they like help us fight our political battles, and then like, then we have gay clubs that are like, women aren't allowed into this club. It is.
Which which is yeah, fucking crazy that those are the people who have, our straight girlfriends have supported us and are our biggest allies, and then to not invite them into those spaces where we're gonna feel to make us feel most comfortable. I don't know why.
It's not even it's not even a matter of not inviting them in. It's when they show up, we turn them away. Like, you know, the Laird in, I believe it's Collingwood?
No, I haven't.
Men only club. Women aren't allowed in.
Oh, I mean, I mean, maybe if do women try to get into that club or
I mean, I haven't seen it personally, but if it's a men's only club, I'd imagine that they'd turn women away at the door. I've never seen a woman in it. I've been there twice because I have a friend who's really into the trivia night there. And I'm like, do we have to? Like, I don't want to support this business.
yeah, absolutely. And well, as someone who doesn't see themselves in what you were describing before, that muscly white um, man, how do you feel when these clubs are so exclusive?
I mean, like, I wouldn't say they're exclusive as much as I would say they're exclusionary. Because it's not like, you know, we're so exclusive. Not in that, not in that way. But like, honestly, does it make me angry? Yes, but it doesn't make me angry on like a daily basis where I wake up and I go, oh my god, I hate Poof Doof. Oh my god, I hate the Laird. It's more like if it comes up in conversation, I will be like, I don't want to support this business. Can we consider going somewhere else? Right?
Yeah.
Like for me, that is the best way to go in terms of like how you know make political change, because money talks. I don't want to support their business, and that's the T. Like you know, it's just like I don't see the point in getting angry about it. I don't see the point in getting upset about it. I'm not going to let it bother me in any way because I have my own life to live, right? But when it comes down to it, if I get a choice, I won't support them. That's just it.
Absolutely. And I think maybe the different pressure maybe I would feel, maybe I see that being represented, and I think, oh, maybe I'm not that far away. Maybe that is a possibility for how I could look. Should I be looking that way? And do I need to work out more and buff up? Yeah, because I guess it's not too far away if I just exercised or something.
Right.
But I don't know. I just hate these masculine ideals that we this is the only attractive body. That's even so common in the gay community.
Yeah, you see, like in the gay community, we have this. Actually, I would say that we're a little bit less. I don't know. I don't think that there's only one attractive body in the gay community, like because
That's true.
people have such a wide range of like almost like sexual like appetites, I guess. Like if you're a twink, like people still call you attractive. That means for those of you who are straights out there, a twink is like a very skinny, lean kind of like gay person.
Well, yes.
You know,
So
like
because I
if
could
you're a twink.
identify as a twink, I think, oh, okay, there is a group of people who find me attractive, and there's a name for a person like me. Therefore, I'm not going to have any issues finding someone who would find me attractive. Therefore, I maybe don't put as much as the pressures on myself to be that other body type because there's already a known label for me.
Right.
Oh, I'm just so yeah. So
Yeah.
we need we need more groups. We need more celebrations of lots of different body types.
Yeah. Honestly, like it's weird because on one hand I'm against the body labels. On the other hand,
Yeah.
I understand that they're there for ease of use. Like it's just not realistic to not have those like labels at all.
I don't like. I don't feel comfortable with the labels. I guess maybe it can be validating if you fall into one of those categories, but I don't know. Just to chuck on your grinder, I'm a twink bottom femme or something. Like, ew, how many? Why are we slapping all these labels on ourselves? And that people are gonna have preconceived ideas about you because of those body
Yeah.
labels you
Yeah.
put your...
But honestly, outside of the gay community, like, body norms and standards for men are so much more forgiving than they are for women. Like, honestly, with the
Absolutely.
gays, like, you know, you're either a twink or like a really ripped like gym bunny hunk guy.
Mm.
Otherwise, you're not attractive. Whereas with women, I mean, with straight men, there it's like you can have a dad bod, you can be skinny, you can be muscular, you can, you know, have a pot belly. Is that kind of like a dad bod? I think they're slightly different. I don't know about straight culture. Straights confuse me, but you know, there is something out there for everyone. They're like, yes, or for some reason men's bodies are like widely celebrated, and that's not to say that there aren't issues.
Mm.
Obviously, I think it's a little bit toxic the way that short men are treated when they're straight.
Oh,
um,
absolutely.
yeah, but men's body standards tend to be a little bit more forgiving than women's in the straight community.
I mean, well, yeah, gay men do report higher body dissatisfaction than straight men.
Yeah,
And I mean, that might be in part because uh, the men we are attracted to, we're also putting those expectations on ourselves
yeah,
as well. Because
definitely.
a straight man is not subjected to the same expectations he puts on a woman's body. Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, I'm attracted to a muscly, six-packed guy. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Should I also have a six-pack?
Yeah. But like honestly, I think this kind of
Mm.
this kind of like categorization of bodies into like what's objectively attractive and what isn't, and having this very narrow definition of what's
Mm.
an acceptable or attractive body is honestly a I have a theory that it's all completely just the product of the male gaze. By gaze here, I mean GAZE, not like GAYS, because but like the male gaze. So, you know, within the gay community, like gay men specifically,
Mm.
you know, we have these very unrealistic expectations of our bodies, and so do straight women, and it almost feels like, you know, men get to dictate what is attractive in bodies, and like on as a whole like thing, like a monolith of like what is attractive versus like finding, you know, something attractive about every body type, right? um because like if you think about it, there's almost this unspoken categorization of female bodies too. Like, gays are so brazen about it that we'll call ourselves twinks, we'll call ourselves bears, we'll call ourselves cubs, we'll call ourselves whatever, right? We'll call ourselves otters, I don't know. But women,
Yeah, what
like
is an otter, by the way?
a hairy twink.
Oh, okay.
um, because twinks are also supposed to be hairless, which is unrealistic. But anyway, um,
Oh, God.
yeah. But women also, I feel like, have these categories even if they're unspoken. Like, there are these very narrow definitions and very unrealistic expectations on female bodies that are attractive. Like, for example, you could be extremely tall and skinny, and you know they call that look waifish or like a waif, right?
Mm.
But people don't use that in everyday conversation. Or like you could be very like curvy, right? Like in that Kim Kardashian kind of way that men think is attractive. And I feel like you have to fit into one of those categories in order to be seen as attractive, um, in the same way that with gays you need to either be a twink or a hunk to be attractive.
Absolutely. And it's, I mean, with the gay clubs, and it's this um, so much objectification, maybe like self objectification as well.
Mm.
And it almost it's maybe sold as me loving my body and being comfortable with my body, um, but also at times it's I don't want to say um, I don't know, it just kind of, I don't know, I don't really feel comfortable.
As in, like, it comes both internally and externally.
Yeah, it's I mean, well, you got like a go-go dancer and and whatnot. It's that maybe awareness of people want this and want me to look like this. So even though I'm comfortable in my skin dancing up here, I'm only doing this because this is sexually desired.
Right, yeah. I mean, like, look, honestly, it's weird because when you're like a young gay, you think that you have an idea of what you'll find attractive based on what like porn tells you, right? But as you get older, you begin to realize that there's something attractive about almost everyone.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you start off thinking that you want something, and then like the people who you actually end up being attracted to are nothing like that at all, and often there's like no clear line, like through line that connects them all, and it's just like whoever I vibe with.
Yeah, literally. I mean, if we're men in pornography, I mean anyone in pornography, it's abnormal features, abnormal
Yeah.
bodies and anatomy, and if you're consuming a lot of porn and comparing yourself to bodies represented in porn, you're just going to be unsatisfied with yourself, and
Yeah, definitely.
it's this porn is telling you that you want this muscly guy or whatnot, but if you watch less of it and what am I fucking talking about? I don't watch don't watch
It's
porn, but
It's not realistic. Like that's
it's not
that's
real.
just
Yeah,
what it boils down to.
it boils down to that, and it boils down to, as well as, you're only attracted to who society's really telling you to be attracted to.
Yeah. And then like you end up going into society and you're like, wait, what? You're like, this isn't what I thought I would be
Wait,
attracted to,
why
but I
am
guess
why am I attracted to this person? This is
Yeah.
I don't see this person in porn.
yeah. So it's honestly just the vibe, but that like unrealistic expectation of what bodies should look like in porn. It's become, you know, more common than just that. Like even Instagram now, right? Like people on Instagram have these really unrealistic bodies because they're like, I wouldn't. What's that app called, bitch? I don't fucking know. The Facetune, like
Yeah, I think it's
Photoshop.
Facetune.
I don't know. Oh, speaking of Photoshop, by the way, those of you who are listening to this episode might have noticed that we have a new logo. We have a new piece of cover art.
Thank you to Joe for whipping that one up. We've had a couple of offers as well to do some cover art, but this one is a new one to replace the very boring, white text designed by me.
The boring Caucasian text. No, I'm
Look,
kidding.
it was simple. It got the point across.
It did. It definitely did. Like, to be entirely fair to Matt, I was the one who just suggested plain white text on a black background because neither of us had any Photoshop skills. So then when we figured out that we couldn't make the rainbow work, I was like, let's just go simple, clean, professional white text on a black background. And then like the other day I was just playing around on Photoshop because I was like, oh, let's see what we can do. I was like, oh, this is kind of sickening. It wasn't my first choice in terms of what I would have done, but I'm like, it'll do for now.
Yeah, until we get an artiste to make our cover art.
Artiste. No, but back to Instagram and body image.
Back to
I am
Instagram.
really hating on Instagram now on this podcast. Apparently, I am like really heavily anti Instagram because I talked about it last episode too.
I mean, also in the last episode, I was listening back, and you're like, and you referred to me as a social media advocate, or as someone who's a big fan of social media, and I was like, what?
Am I?
Excuse me.
No, that was just like relative, where I'm like, I'm not on like any social media except Facebook and Messenger. So I was like, I feel like you would have the expertise on that like issue because I use pretty much next to nothing.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, I don't use Instagram a lot, but I don't know anyone who uses Facetune, and maybe I haven't noticed it, and maybe I'm just not following enough people who are posting
The Instagays.
Yeah, I don't follow many Insta gays. Maybe. Oh no, that's not true. I did unfollow Anthony Porowski from Queer Eye the other day, just because all of his pictures are just like shirtless thirst
Yeah.
traps, and I
Yeah.
mean, like, good on you, but like, I just don't need it in my feed.
Gays love that shit. They're like, I'm gonna pretend that I'm like not confident about my body, post a thirst trap, and get that good serotonin from everyone telling me how great I look. Like they'll be like, just a Thursday night, like curled up in bed with my ice cream, and then you'll see like one leg in the air, like hella like abs, hella pecs, big arms, like, and they're like clearly flexing as they like go and scoop the ice cream out of the tub, and they're like flexing their arms. I'm like, okay, sis, like I see you. Like, and I'm not even on Instagram. I know that this happens because it's such a huge thing in the gay community that everyone talks about it. Right.
I mean, I feel like I'm out of the loop. Maybe I don't know. I never maybe only if it's very overt, like look at my body, but otherwise I think just I genuinely have a healthy esteem when it comes to my body, and yeah, I don't know, I'm just happy with my skin. Maybe we have those off days, but I don't know. I,
Yeah.
wake up in the morning, tell yourself you're attractive, and keep moving with the day, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I mean, like, that's one way of coping with it, just being like, tell yourself in the morning that you're attractive. It can be hard sometimes, though,
Yeah.
like when other people, where that pressure is coming externally. So, this is a funny thing where, so at the start of lockdown, I gained quite a bit of weight in fat. And I was like, okay, like this, it just wasn't healthy for me. But I hate cardio. I mean, I still hate cardio, but I'm willing to do it now. So what I did was I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do a lot of resistance exercise to build more muscle mass, and that'll amp up my basal metabolic rate. And it did. But the problem was that once I amped up my basal metabolic rate, I just kept eating more.
What is the basal
to sustain
basil?
basal metabolic rate, yeah. So it's like the base level of like how fast your metabolism is.
Oh,
So the more
okay,
muscles you have, the faster your metabolism works. But when I made my metabolism faster, I just ate more to keep up with it. So that was fun. But like it was weird. I mean, yeah, it's like I wasn't extremely unhealthy. I was
Yeah.
functioning just as well as I did before. It was just a weird place for me. But then, like, my family, because again, Chinese people love to comment on other people's bodies, pulled me aside and they were like, this is an intervention. They were like, you are fat. You are, like, terrible. You're disgusting. So, like, I don't mean to shame them. Like, but they were right in that I was kind of, like, almost in denial about the fact that it was not healthy, in that I was like, oh, I've put on muscle too. Like, it's not unhealthy. When, like, in reality, like, being fat is not inherently unhealthy, in that it depends on how you define health. Like, it's not like having excess body fat is a health risk, but it's not necessarily any more of a health risk than say being underweight or smoking or anything like that, in the same way that healthcare professionals in the media kind of like demonize fat, right? So like when the pressure is external, it can really get to you even when you were otherwise confident in yourself. But I mean, like, that did trigger like a 6.5 kilo weight loss from me. I don't know if you've noticed, but recently I have lost weight.
Yeah, I noticed.
I mean, I lost like 6.5 kilos.
Damn.
And like, some of that has been muscle, some of that has been fat, but in general, I am in better shape than I was before quarantine started, because I have more muscle and less fat on my body. Like visibly.
And so,
and also,
did you try to lose that weight specifically in response to people telling you were fat?
Well, it started that way, kind of like
Right.
out of spite. Like, I'm just gonna lose this weight so you guys can get off my back about it.
God, I'm
but
sorry
then,
you had to go through
yeah,
that.
I mean, no, but here's the thing. Once I started losing weight, like, certain things about my body just felt better. Like, I felt like I had more energy. But that's just me specifically. Like, I'm not advocating that everyone goes out and loses weight. But for me specifically, I felt like I had more energy. You know, like, it was just like, I was like, okay, this is fine. This is good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
So
think
that,
it just enters dangerous territory, I guess, when you've got so many pressures about what you feel like you should be looking like, and then you start to change your eating habits, and of course, yeah, that can
yeah.
turn into eating disorders.
Yeah,
Hugely
definitely.
unhealthy.
So here's the thing, right? I would never advocate that anyone starves themselves. I would never advocate that anyone goes hungry. So what I've actually done is I've noticed that sometimes, because I picked up this habit from certain
Yeah.
from like, oh, I'll get into it a little bit later, but I have a habit of eating really quickly, right? So that comes from when I was little.
Yeah.
My parents were both working, and we would, you know, hurry up, everyone eat together, you know, just eat, get it done out of the way, do the washing, everyone goes back to their day,
Yeah.
right? Because they were in a rush, but they still wanted to eat dinner with us. So I picked up this habit of eating really quickly. So what I found actually happened was my body hadn't processed all that I'd eaten all of this food when I had literally inhaled it. So I would feel so I would still feel hungry even after I'd just eaten.
Yeah, right.
So I would actually eat more than I needed to eat. And also, you know, I have a massive sweet tooth. Like that too. So like, all I have done literally is I've amped up my cardio and do like maybe an hour of it in the morning. You know, to differing degrees of like intensity. Like, you know, on days when I'm feeling it more, and I do try to progressively overload the intensity. Like, I'll try to do more and more every day. But like, you know, I put aside a specific like portion of my day to doing that cardio, and then in terms of eating, I've just cut out a lot of junk food, and if I feel hungry, then I'll replace it with like good food. And if I feel hungry after eating, even though I know that it's a good sized meal, I'll maybe wait 5 minutes, and if I'm still hungry, then I'll just eat more, right? Like, I don't starve myself, I don't go hungry. Like, it's just changing certain eating habits that weren't necessarily healthy for me. So for the listeners out there, I am not advocating, you know, starving yourself. I'm not saying be hungry, do what I did and lose 6.5 kilos in a month.
I
Like,
mean,
no.
I always worry. I just, when I see those Instagrammers saying, "Oh, this is my diet plan. Skip breakfast and only eat small meals and this many a day, and drink so much water." There's no rules to how we should eat to be the healthiest. I think our body already knows how to eat and how to look after itself, and we know what to eat. It's smarter than what we think, and I don't think we need to overcomplicate it with all these rules of skipping certain meals and meal sizes. And I don't know, I think it can be quite toxic when we're saying, "Oh yes, I eat a whole entirely good fresh diet." I mean, what is good?
Yeah.
I mean, I literally am no authority. I just want to like put that out there. I have zero authority to speak on body image. I think this is my only just from my own experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it can be very harmful, particularly when I do see people who have maybe been through come out of on the other side of an eating disorder and take to the internet maybe to share their experiences, but it can sometimes be very harmful, what they're sharing about diet when they're not trained, and a lot of vulnerable young people listen to that and starve themselves. And I mean,
Yeah. I mean, like, look, here's my take on that. Like, honestly, for me, I think skipping meals or like intermittent fasting, that might work for some people just because of their genes, because of their body composition, because of who they are biologically. Like, in fact, this is quite interesting. I don't know if they still do this or not. I know that when I did it for a short period, this was still a thing. So monastics in certain sects of Buddhism, when they're in in their novitiate, meaning they're still novices,
Yeah.
they actually don't eat after noon. Like after they have lunch, they just won't eat dinner. But here's the thing, that's not a strict rule, in that if they do feel hungry, they can drink. Like they can drink, say, like Milo or soup or something. But they don't eat solid food. And part of that is disciplining the mind. But I'm not 100%, like, I'm not a spiritual authority on this in any way. But it's not unhealthy in that they actually used to reduce the amount of activity that they did afterwards so that their body could conserve energy. So it wasn't like, oh, we're using a crap ton of energy and not eating to replenish it.
I think I don't and I'm sure maybe there's something good about that, what they're doing as well, and maybe it's had some positive effects. But I'm not like a fan of this training the mind to not eat food. Food is,
definitely.
you know, food is our
Yeah.
energy, and we need to eat it. And yeah, I guess I don't like this culture of
Yeah. Yeah.
not eating after certain
Yeah.
times, you know.
And to finish that thought, again, this is a choice that they make, right?
Right.
And it's a choice that works for certain bodies, and it doesn't work for others. And that's why they say if you need to eat, then you know, eat or consume liquids if you don't feel comfortable eating, because of upholding tradition. Like, realistically, I doubt that they're going to force anyone to not eat. It's not like they can tie you down and be like, you're not allowed to eat until the sun rises again. Like, I mean, also, like, there is Ramadan as well.
Yeah.
Again, like, if you have a health condition, they're not going to be like, you know, you just need to die, right? They're not going to be like, you're not allowed to eat, you just die if you have a health condition. No. Like, again, it's a choice, and it's a choice that works for certain bodies and not for others. But here's the thing, I would never, on my own authority, you know, recommend skipping meals or intermittent fasting. What I will say, again, is do what works for you, right? Like, for me, I've found that, so my, on my mum's side, we have a lot of, like, metabolic disturbances, I guess you would call them that, like, conditions, where, like, for example, take my mum. She had a hyperactive thyroid. She had high blood pressure, and you know, like, gastrointestinal upset, which, you know, it's hard to tell which one caused which, but the three of them linked. Sweaty, like, one of them caused the others. But here's the thing. So because of that, I'm quite hyper aware of what works for my body and what doesn't, and I know that if I get stressed and I put on weight at the same time, I will have acid reflux on a regular basis. Like, I've lost the weight that I put on at the start of quarantine, and as a result, I don't get it anymore, even when I am stressed. It's the combination of the two for me that really does it.
Yeah.
So again, like, my body wasn't falling apart when I gained weight, but, like, I'm at a healthier weight now than I was before, for my body specifically.
And I mean, I guess even then, you know, just like your language of now I'm at a healthier weight, and because I put that weight on, you know, that was a bad thing, and I needed to lose that. I guess it's natural that our body changes as well, and I guess we should learn to love ourselves in all of our states, whenever it
definitely
changes. And yeah, I think there's such this culture of we need to, as soon as you put on weight, it's a bad thing, but that's not,
like, I
that's
don't
not bad.
I don't think it's bad to put on weight. It's just when it starts, like, having a negative impact on your health, when I think something's, like, should be done about it. But to finish the thought of what I was saying before, like, because of that, I'm quite aware of what works for my body, and for me, it's eating smaller meals more regularly. So instead of 3 large meals, you know, 6 smaller meals, because that actually, if I do have, you know, reflux, it gives my stomach, like, essentially stuff to work through, right? Because I find that if I'm on an empty stomach at all when I have reflux, my stomach acid goes, haha, yay, let's rise. So, like, I need to constantly have just a little bit of stuff in my system, and that's just what works for me personally. So, like, my thing for everyone out there is just do what works for your body, know your body, and do what works for it. Like, don't follow weird, like, trends, like, oh, I'm only gonna eat raw food. Like, do what works for your body.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're following any toxic body gurus on your Instagram, just question everything that they're feeding you. Feeding. What fucking bad joke. But like even that's why I'm like, me trying to give advice about body image stuff now. I can't give anything because it kind of goes against my morals of I don't know anything about body. I don't like the Instagram people telling people how to live a healthy lifestyle, and I don't feel like I'm an authority on that, so I don't want to share what I think about it. I think I'd more want to focus on how we can just learn to find ourselves attractive, love who we are. I think that's the main thing, because we're stressed about body because we don't think that we're going to be attractive, and if I change my body, I will be more liked, or I will be able to find that partner, and that partner will bring me success and all of these other things. And you get that body and you're still not, it's not fulfilling. How can, what are some tips that maybe you have to love whatever state you're in and however you look?
Like, honestly, I've never really had an issue with loving my body. Like, even, like, really the things that the pressures for me to change have always been external or health related. So honestly, I've never had an issue with that. Like, it's, I don't know, like the thing that I think is important to realize is that our bodies do so much for us, right? They're constantly working, and we never really take that as serious as we should. We just take it for granted. Like, our body's doing so much for us. Like, a little bit of extra weight, or like a little bit of, like, I don't know, maybe you might have like stretch marks, maybe you have like whatever, like, it doesn't compromise. If it doesn't compromise the function of your body, then let it be. Like, your body does so much for you. Give it some small, like, give it a little bit of leeway. But be kind to it.
And also, we don't have to hide our bodies. I think I'm learning this as well in terms of like the clothes I wear. I think I used to wear like maybe more baggier clothes because I was trying to maybe appear bigger, or I just had this idea in my head that I didn't want to be smaller. But dress to show yourself off. I think there's so much that's fun in that as well, and I'm learning to do that more. And maybe try and buy some more tight-fitting clothes and to show who I am, and be comfortable with that.
So that's and here's the thing, some people might think of that as like some people might have hang-ups about that, but here's the thing, right? Like, loving your body is about being empowered to make whatever choice you think you want to make. It's like, it's not a matter of this is good or this is bad, or this is a good way of dressing or this is a bad way of dressing. It's not saying you shouldn't show your body or you should show your body. People love their bodies in different ways. Some people don't want to show their body and they still love their body, right? So it's true, about being empowered to make those choices about how you want to show your body. Like, I think the saddest thing is if someone has a certain kind of like aesthetic in mind, or like certain preferences as to how they would like to show their body, but don't feel confident in doing it, and they feel disempowered to do it because society has told them that their body doesn't suit that, or because they're not good enough for it.
Well, absolutely. I mean, in terms of like race and theater and stuff, you've even said to me that I would never pursue Broadway because there's no Asian
it is so incredibly racist.
It's so racist. And so because of the way you look, you felt disempowered to pursue something that maybe could have been a dream of yours. Maybe is a dream of yours.
I don't think I would dream of going on Broadway. That's a bit much. But yeah, I definitely know what you mean. It is roughly the same kind of like vein. But yeah, it is.
What I experience just so much, sorry, I just cut you off, is sometimes I'll be feeling so good about myself and I'll be like, yes, I love who I am. And then I'll see someone else who is really attractive. And I just instantly dismiss all of the thoughts I was having about myself before and just assume that I'm unattractive because they exist. And I think it's just, we got to constantly strive to remember that everyone is fucking attractive, and
Yeah.
just because you perceive them to be hotter than you doesn't that doesn't make you any less attractive because they exist.
I've honestly never felt I've honestly never felt that, which is weird. Like, a lot of people have issues with their body, in terms of like loving the way it looks or not loving the way it looks. I've never had an issue with that. I'm just like, my body is my body. It's a flesh prison. Like, it's I feel like I have so little concern for my body as part of my identity
Right, yeah.
that it's never really mattered to me in that way. And that's not supposed to be a flex. That's not like, oh, look at me, I'm not shallow. That's just like, in fact, if anything, I feel like it's almost bordering on unhealthy how little I identify with my body in terms of my actual identity. Like, I remember my sister was like to me, why is it that you never like fix your hair in the morning? I'm like, because nobody's looking at my hair. I just do, it doesn't matter to me. Like, it's not in my way, so why would it matter? But then, like, as I grew older, I realized people judge you on this, right? Like, as unsavory and unfair as it is, people form snapshot judgments of you based on your appearance, and even if you personally don't care, other people care, and it's a show of respect to other people to care about the same things that they do, in terms of like, if something bothers them, you should change it. And B, if someone looks at me and thinks I'm a slob, that's okay. But if my employer looks at me and thinks I'm a slob, then that's not great for me, obviously.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a healthy balance of how you should feel about your body. Like, if it works, then great. But, like, within reason, where it doesn't compromise your time and your health and anything. Like, if it's as simple as fixing your hair, spending 5 minutes a day on that to make yourself presentable, because there is something to be said about making yourself presentable.
For sure.
Then for sure do it.
I guess, I mean, maybe subconsciously I'm judging people on their hair when I first immediately see them. But otherwise, I've never been one to notice people's appearance a lot, or take note of the clothes they're wearing, or their body type. And I think it's just something that we're so much more aware of ourselves. We're thinking of ourselves, of course, more than we're thinking of anybody else. But I definitely, when I shaved my hair, and I've never shaved it before, I definitely was like, oh my god, do people think I'm a dropkick? Oh,
but, like,
no!
Yeah, I feel like we're our own
Travesty.
harshest critics with our bodies and our appearance, really. And I actually think that if you put yourself in someone else's shoes, you really don't worry about it as much. Because here's the thing. When I look at myself, there are days when I don't feel good. I'll look at my face and I'll be like, wow, that is an ugly mug. But here's the thing. I've actually never met a single person who I've, like, actually thought of as just straight up ugly.
Right, yeah.
Right? Like, there is always something about someone
Oh, for
that
sure.
is redeeming. In
Redeeming.
fact, like, not even redeeming, I guess that's a bad word for it, but there's
Maybe.
always something about someone that you can appreciate in their appearance. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh.
even if at first you don't find someone particularly appealing, when you get to know them and you look at them for a while, like, you notice things about them where you're like, wow, like, you're wowed by the human body.
I think whenever there's like a group photo or something, of course, like, the first thing we look at is ourselves, and
Yeah.
do I look presentable, and what are people thinking of me? I go, oh yeah, do I look hot enough? I always try to look at the other people in the photo before myself, and try and try. I try so hard to admire anything in them. But yeah, I just internally just I compliment other people in the picture, and try to look for good things in them before I look to myself, and appreciate others' beauty. I think that's so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. I mean, body positivity is important, but so here's the thing, right? I've actually gone and done some research online into a lot of this
Oh.
stuff in advance because I was like, I want to talk about this and I want to do this in an educated way. There's actually a lot of misinformation on kind of like both sides of this
Mm.
body positivity issue. There are some people who almost go out of their way to make people feel bad about their bodies. Like
Yeah.
literally if you go on YouTube, there are people who make videos about like fat YouTubers and talk
What
shit
the?
about them, and that's so disgusting to me. But on the other hand, there are people who have like this kind of radical body positivity, which is just straight up science denial.
What do you
So
mean? What do you mean by radical body positivity?
So, there are certain people who take health at every size to an extreme,
Right, of
where
course.
they actually believe that fat is not unhealthy. It's the way that society treats people who carry excess fat on their bodies that causes their health issues. So they think that cancer, obstructive sleep apnea, all of the other risk factors like heart disease of fat don't come from the actual fat. It comes from people treating people who are fat like shit.
Oh, yikes. I mean, I
Um,
guess.
I mean, like it's straight up not scientific. If you literally look into the physiology of how obstructive sleep apnea works, fat is carrying excess body fat is a risk factor because it literally narrows the amount of space that the air has to travel within your body. Um,
Absolutely. And
s
maybe someone who is carrying too much weight can be aware of the health risks, um, but that shouldn't be any reason as well for
yeah,
them to feel shit about themselves each day.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's the other
and people.
side of it, right? People are like, they need to lose this weight. This is terrible. This person will never lose weight because they're not disciplined. Blah blah blah. Like people say
Yeah,
terrible things like that. And I'm like, hold
absolutely
on.
terrible.
Like health is separate from how you feel about yourself. Everyone should be able to feel attractive and beautiful in their body. Society should be celebrating every kind of body type in terms of its aesthetic, its appearance. But like health is a separate, like we need to learn to separate the two, like the attractiveness of a body and the health of a body, right? Like
Yeah,
also when people
and
say
sorry.
when fat people say I am the picture of health, I am perfectly healthy, I'm like, and then there are people who say no, you're unhealthy because you're fat. Like neither of those two is technically accurate because people aren't agreeing on what is meant by healthy or health, right?
Mm,
like like if you're defining health as like the apex of human performance and the functionality of the body, then no, you're not healthy. But if you're saying I am healthier than the average person, then plausibly you probably are. Because like if the only thing that is like a health risk to your body that you actively have is excess body fat, then you probably are more healthy than the general population because the general population consumes hella junk food, hella sodium, hella sugar, hella fat. The general population consumes, maybe alcohol, tobacco. Like,
mm,
so you probably are healthier than them. So, like, people need to agree on what is meant by healthy here, right?
mm. And well, yeah, I just kind of hate that. I think you were mentioning before. I hate it when people are like, "Oh no, I don't want plus size stores, or I don't want
That's
songs
so
that
dumb.
celebrate fat people," because it's just going to give people an excuse to stay
That's
fat
so dumb.
and not make an effort to lose weight. And I really take an issue with that.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, if people want to lose weight for health reasons, then by all means. But to say that people should aspire to being skinny simply for the looking skinny factor of it, the skinny legend factor of it all, then no, that's so unhealthy. Like fat people deserve to see their body shape reflected in mannequins and on in on posters and photos as much as anyone else does. Like it's when people are selling clothes to you, they're not necessarily selling health. They're selling
hmm,
clothing that works and fits and looks good.
right? Oh wow, yeah, yeah, that was good. And I mean, yeah, then that, I guess, take it to the shows like The Biggest Loser, where it's just a competition to lose weight, and then after that, they all put it back on because it was
Yikes.
you
Yeah,
just got like,
it's
yeah, the Michelle Bridges being like, no, skinny is healthy, and then they all lose an abnormal amount of weight in 8 weeks or so, and that was an unhealthy. That was that was such an unhealthy way to lose all that weight so quickly, and then they put it back on. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like, again, skinny doesn't equal healthy. Like, I know skinny people who get blackout drunk more than they should, who smoke, who do all of that pizzazz. You know, get drunk in the bathtub, wake up the next day in the bathtub because they passed out in the bathtub with a drink in their hands. Like,
Oh my fucking god.
skinny people really be doing shit like that. And there are fat people who are active, who go out and do things, who are high functioning human beings, who are probably healthier than them, and yet healthcare professionals, when they see a fat person walk in and complain of like a certain issue, they'll be like, lose weight. And it's like, what? Who said that?
Oh. Yeah, I'm allergic to honey. Lose weight. Sorry, I'm just like scrambling for like an example. What a bad
Yeah, when you were like,
example.
I'm allergic to honey, I was like, that's so like that's like point A and point B is all the way here, and you really went from there to there to the point where I was like, does he mean he's actually allergic to honey? Is this a vulnerable moment? Should I be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry?
Oh my god, that is. I'm allergic to honey. Dear God. Honestly, I'm just gonna own it. What?
I'm allergic to honey, you guys.
I'm allergic
This
to
is really
honey,
hard
oh
for
my
me to
God.
say. No, but like, if okay, so here's a fun story. So my best friend in high school, who was, fat, I'm like, it's funny because even though I just said I shouldn't have hang-ups with that word, I still have hang-ups with that word. But they're fat, and in high school they broke their leg, doing some scout activity, and they went to the doctor, and the doctor told them to lose fat. Like, they were like, lose weight. It'll help your joints. But here's the thing: the problem, like, because they'd operated on it, everything was fine. Everything was good. It was in a cast. They got the cast off, and then they were fine. But they had like persistent pain in their knee.
Yeah.
So the doctor, they saw the doctor about it, and the doctor told them to lose weight. But it turned out that the problem wasn't their weight. The problem was actually that, for some reason, apparently their bones just had like superhuman healing abilities. And instead of just knitting itself back together, the bone actually, in addition to just knitting itself back together, grew an extra chunk that was scraping against the cartilage at the bottom of her knee.
And that was
Of
the
their
issue,
knee.
not the weight.
And that was the issue, not the weight. So it took them ages to diagnose this. It took them, I think, like close to a year to diagnose that was the issue, because they kept going back and complaining about it. So they took an X-ray and realized that it wasn't the weight. How dismissive does a healthcare professional have to be to not do anything about your complaint of bone related pain, and just tell you to lose weight? Like, that's so disgusting and dismissive. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's. And I just. To live with that, and for your health professionals, your friends, your family, to be constantly judging your body and assuming that all of your issues because of your body, or you're sad because of your body, I can't imagine how that would certainly get you down. And then to not see you represented in media, yeah, that's it's not fair, and it's not cool.
Yeah, but we have great like body positivity icons now, like Lizzo.
Yeah, for
Stan.
sure. Fuck yes, Lizzo.
Oh, she's so good. Who else do we have? The fact that I can't think of another one is probably an issue.
probably an issue. But also, I'm like, I also can't name any pop culture figures.
Um, oh, this is a weird thing that I've noticed too. When people who have a brand of body positivity lose weight, people are really outraged by it.
Oh right, like
Like, have you
Adele. Oh,
Adele?
where,
People are like, I can't
but
believe you. Like, I can't. But like, it's not even. I guess Adele. People weren't really angry about it. What
yeah,
I'm
they were
talking
more
about
like,
is
"Oh wow, well done, you're
yeah.
finally skinny.
Um,
Congratulations."
and this isn't so much the straights, but when Roxy Andrews lost weight.
I don't know who Roxy Andrews
Okay,
is.
so Roxy
Curse me.
Andrews is a world famous drag queen from season 5 of RuPaul's Drag Race. She was a finalist, and then she was also on All Stars season 2. Um, so on season 5, her whole big thing was like being a thick and juicy girl, right? She
Right.
called herself
Okay.
thick and juicy. And then she comes back on All Stars 2 and has lost weight, and people are outraged. They're like, we can't believe you sold out on our community like this. I can't believe you lost all this weight. It's terrible how you like used us, your fan base, when it suited you, and then like lost all this weight and left us behind. I'm like, hold on. When she lost weight, she was probably doing it for herself. It probably had nothing to do with you, the fans. Okay, like people don't lose weight because they're like, I want to leave my fans behind. I want to sell out and be a skinny person. No, they probably did it for health reasons. They probably did it maybe because they felt like they wanted to for, not just health, but also for maybe like their peace of mind, maybe for maybe because they're performing a lot and, want to be able to do certain things with their body that they weren't able to do before. Like, nobody loses weight specifically to spite you.
Yeah, and if you're having if you have an issue with that, you need to check in with yourself.
Right? Like, who gets upset about people losing weight?
Some people apparently. I mean, yeah, and then like take it to movies and things. Yeah, when the fat person is only the comedic relief as well. Maybe like Rebel Wilson has very much cemented that as her role. And if she were to lose weight, what sort of opportunities would come to her? Because she's very much been shoved in a small box.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I honestly don't know how that would work. Like, for her to be able to pull off the same comedy that she does at a lower weight would
Yeah.
really need society to change the way that it sees fat altogether. Because, like, fat shouldn't be something that we laugh at. Like, it should be something that we think is just as beautiful as anything else, but at the same time understand that it's not for everyone's body. The same way that being skinny isn't for everyone's body. There are people who maybe just genetically inclined to not be that skinny, and they push themselves to lose weight to the point where it's not healthy anymore.
Yeah, I think you said it just then, and again, it just comes down to difference and diversity in body types. Like, God, we're sold this idea so often that, well, we're not all the same, embrace yourself, yet we're still trying to fit this mold
Yeah.
of what is traditionally attractive.
Yeah.
And what always seems to be in a line with, as you were saying, with the male gaze.
Yeah. So, in summary, y'all, we need to put more fat people in the media. We need to stop stigmatizing fat by skirting around the word, and we need to stop thinking of fat as something to laugh at or something to be upset about. And we should just let people feel beautiful in whatever body they're in.
And maybe check in with yourself about why you find someone attractive and whether you're dismissing somebody just because of their appearance. Or maybe you need to have a more nuanced view of what makes somebody attractive.
Fucking men. You know what's really weird? When I was in primary school and we were at Catholic school, I was like taught amen, which is the way that's supposed to be said.
Yeah,
but then
amen,
you
yeah.
listen to American media, and because I haven't said
Amen.
amen, like amen in ages, they're like amen. So now when I like say shit, I'll be like a fucking men, right?
Amen is so much better, to be honest. Where's the punch in amen? No, it just doesn't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. All body types are attractive. Can we keep pushing that?
Yes. Keep pushing that shit. Peddle that idea like little little skinny white boys be peddling their crack. Peddle that idea out there.
Absolutely. And also, yeah, again, I think I'd like to close off the episode as well by saying, like, we're not experts in any way on body image or what's healthy and what is not. And if you didn't like what was said, please, I'm begging you, feel free to chuck it out the window as well.
Actually, leave that shit in the comments. Give us engagement. No, I'm kidding. No, but I don't know what you're talking about. I'm clearly an expert. Speak for yourself. No, I'm kidding. I'm also not an expert. Yeah. So to close off, let's tell the listeners where they can find us now, because we are now on more platforms than we were before.
More platforms. Oh my god. Well, we're on Spotify as usual. We are now on Apple Podcasts. We got approved. And
yes, we're also on Google Podcasts and YouTube.
Yes. And yeah, I think that's the main ones. Although we can see the analytics, and y'all are all listening on Spotify anyway.
Actually, no. We have some people listening on other platforms. It's weird.
Oh, hello. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. Also, we have listeners from like places where we did not expect to get them this early on, because honestly at this point we've just been sharing them with like friends, but there are people listening in from like Singapore and Malaysia, and I'm like, work.
Oh, true. I mean, I have a couple friends over there, so maybe that's who's listening. Maybe. But yeah, I mean, yes. Yeah, there's no hiding. If you've listened to our podcast, it gives us the town. Like, yeah, literally, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. But also, like, I found in our analytics, a lot of our listeners are, like, around our age or a little bit older.
Wait, I didn't see the age as well.
Oh, we don't have any boomers listening. We don't have any, like, Gen X people. Like, I reckon that we should have, like, a Gen X guest at some point when we talk about, like, maybe, like, generational differences or some shit. We should have, like, us, the Gen Z people. We should have a millennial, and then we should have, like, a Gen X person. Ooh. Maybe a boomer. But
get
that might be a little bit too
around
much.
The two microphones.
Yeah. It's not fun. But we'll see how that goes. But yes, you can now find us on all of those platforms. Well, and I just wrote outro without thinking about what we would do for the outro.
So the outro, instead of the definitive end, we are going to scream. I think that's what we're gonna do. Just a nice.
No, we are not screaming. Not in my house. The soundproofing is terrible. God, they're gonna think that I'm getting murdered or some shit, or I'm having a heart attack, or like we are not screaming. She said creative direction, and I said no.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, this is what we're doing, and Joe's like, no thanks.
No, sorry, sis.
Oh my god. All right, well, we are putting it to a close. Who knows if that's going to make the final edit. But
do we want to keep it simple? Just say bye, like bye.
Bye.
Bye. We are so dumb. Okay, I am stopping my recording.